Hello and welcome to this live broadcast of the program Green is Gold, a show proudly brought to you by Zimpaper's television network ZTN in partnership with Hivos through the Green and Inclusive Energy Initiative, which seeks to help alleviate the energy poverty situation in Southern Africa. I'm Blessing Munati. Now, this program is the second in a series that will focus on the importance of Zimbabwe transitioning to the use of renewable energy and looks at opportunities arising, especially for the marginalized groups within this transition. Now, today we will be focusing on the youth engagement in the renewable energy value chain, and Africa's future depends on productively harnessing the power of its youth to stimulate inclusive green growth. This not only needs to be a priority for governments in the region, but is also a key component of regional and international development strategies, including, of course, African Union's Agenda 2063 and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Now, the clean energy sector has high potential to create jobs and also sustainable livelihoods for African youth. And to further explore today's topic, I'm joined in studio by two guests whom I'm going to ask to kindly introduce themselves, starting, of course, with a lovely lady in the house.
Okay, thanks, Blessing, for having me here. My name is Amanda Chenai Makombe. I'm a youth advocate in Zimbabwe and in the region for green energy. I advocate for the use of renewable and clean energy. I've been working around clean energy with young people and trying to recruit as much as possible. We call them Green Rangers. When we talk to young people, we call them Green Rangers. So we're trying by all means to accommodate and recruit more Green Rangers in Zimbabwe, in SADC, and in the region.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Amanda. Sir.
Good morning, Blessing. Good morning, viewers. My name is Phil Mudawano. I'm representing Action 24, a non-governmental organization which deals with renewable energy and climate change. Mm-hmm. I am also representing the Gender Energy Network in Zimbabwe, which also looks into renewable energy issues.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Phil, and welcome. Now, feel free to engage us during the course of the show through our social media platforms. That's on Facebook, Zimpaper's TV network, also on YouTube, ZTN. On our Twitter, our handle is @ZTN News. Now, our producers are on standby to forward your questions to our panelists. Now, Amanda, just to get the ball rolling, can you highlight more, of your advocacy efforts? What have you been doing with the Green Rangers to try and conscientize the youth?
Okay, we actually realized, after, let me give you a brief background of how this came about. Hivos actually had a training program for the youth in East Africa, Southern Africa, and Central Africa. So they called in for proposals and they called in for applications. And I was one of the young people that had a Zimbabwean dream to make sure that young people have clean access to renewable and clean access to affordable energy. So we actually realized that there are not a lot of young people involved in green energy. So we wanted to start conversations around green energy, what it means, how do we go about it, projects. So to kickstart the conversation, I've been working hand in glove with Hivos, using my Twitter handle, trying to make sure that I go to workshops, I attend each and every event where we find young people, working hand in glove with tertiary institutions, the UZ, CART, and close to each and every tertiary institution in Zimbabwe, including Catholic University in Zimbabwe. So we're trying to accommodate and both the young people in and out of school so that no one is left behind. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to work around, start a conversation around green energy. What does it mean to say green energy? Because we felt green energy has a lot to do with technical jargons. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to actually remove that barrier to actually make sure that young people are free to ask about green energy and they don't see it as a monster or just a dragon or jargon, but actually familiarize with green energy. Mm-hmm.
Now, Phil, just as Amanda is highlighting, that it seems there is need to try and demystify, some of the misconceptions that might be around green energy. Looking at the region, what has been the trend of the participation of the youths, and what is Zimbabwe's status in terms of, climate change and adapting renewable energy?
Okay. Thank you. I also want to start by giving a background of our Action 24. began the program of under the renewable energy. So in 5 years ago, Action 24 partnered with HIVOS in a strategic partnership program, which is called Green and Inclusive Energy Program. It was a 5-year program with 5 partners. So the program was mainly dealing on community engagement from different levels. And Action 24 is a youth-based organization. We came in leading the thematic area of youth and renewable energy. So we were trying to lobby and advocate the government on renewable energy issues, trying to demystify, trying to send the message out there, trying to make sure that youth take part in this renewable energy discourse as we are trying to transition into a green economy, taking into consideration the SDG goals, particularly goal number 7, which focuses on ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all.
Now, Amanda, in your line of work, obviously you're quite active in trying to get down to the grassroots. Do we have robust structures to actually disseminate information and ensure that youths are conscientized regarding opportunities that are available in the renewable energy sector?
Well, I feel that structures are there, but more needs to be done, because there might be structures, but then when it comes to implementation of the models of how the information gets to the people, you realize most of the people within the rural areas, within the peri-urban setups, do not have access to green energy information, projects on green energy, or any probably basic information on what actually green energy is. So I feel more needs to be done I feel it's a collective responsibility for the government and for those in civil sector to actually work and make sure that people have a sensitization. People, in quotes, our target group, young people, youths have know what it means when we talk about green energy, when we talk about renewable energy. I feel a lot needs to be done. We are not yet there, and we're not even within the middle, so I feel we're still lagging behind.
Now, Phil, looking at the energy value chain itself, which categories offer short and long-term opportunities, especially for the youth, be it employment or investment?
Okay. Looking at I will start by saying, energy is a golden thread which connects economic growth, social equity, and also environmental sustainability. So when you are looking at renewable energy value chain, there are a lot of opportunities which it comes with. I still remember when I was making a point in one of our green discussions at a certain university. I was saying 20 years ago, if you look in the IT sector, a lot of people ventured into IT sector when having a cell phone was something which looked like an achievement. But at that point in time, we didn't realize that if someone has a cell phone and a laptop, these things will need energy at some point. So having a lot of cell phones and a lot of computers have left a deficit, which is an opportunity for young people now to venture into providing that energy which we need for the gadgets in this developed world we are in. Right now, a lot of viewers are seeing us today on their cell phones, not necessarily on a domestic home TV set. So you realize that the opportunities in the renewable energy for the youth are there. And the youths have got the creativity and the innovation to move this green agenda.
Now, you mentioned a very key point there, because I was going to mention the dynamic nature of the youths themselves in their very nature. They're innovative, and they can also take part into adequately tapping into the resources of the renewables. But you mentioned a very key area in terms of technology. The digital era is upon us.
Yes.
Amanda, does this give the youths any leverage, really, to say that we've got renewable products progressing technology-wise and towards energy-efficient tools? Are we, able to actually leverage on this as the youth?
Well, speaking on behalf of all the youths in Zimbabwe, I feel that since about 82% of young people have access to a smartphone, it gives us a leverage to work on renewable energy, because it's the digital era. But however, lots needs to be done, because we're not only looking at cell phones, because we also look at access to information. We also have to look at things like data, technical expertise. Of course, we have the leverage to access information from our cell phones, but we actually don't have the technical expertise on how to do that.
Okay. Now, definitely, we do have a case that I will want us to look at, Phil, and then maybe we can reconvene after that. Takudzwa Chamba, we caught up with, the Soul Gas co-founder, that's Tafadzwa Mundicha, just to show that, there are opportunities that are out there waiting for the youths to explore. Let's just take a look at this clip.
Basically, to the fellow young men and women out there, the youths of this nation, you see, the thing about entrepreneurship, it's basically about identifying a gap that's in the market. In my case, I looked at the import bill, and I looked at the ridiculous amounts of money that we're paying to Eskom, to Kahura Basa in terms of importing power. And I said, look, there's an opportunity here. When you want to do anything or something as an entrepreneur, what you need to look at is, number one, you're not always going to find or come across ideas. You need to look at an idea, do your research properly, and invest time and energy. Put your skin in the game in terms of doing the pre-development and development phase of whatever idea that you have, to such an extent that when the would-be investors come on board, you've got something of value. Your interests are alignable to their interests. So also, I would urge young people to invest in ideas that are scalable. What we're doing here is we're starting off with a 5 megawatt solar power plant. But eventually, look, it's the same concept, whether it's a 1 megawatt or it's 100 megawatt. It's all about capacity. We've created capacity in terms of funding a 5 megawatt. Now, when we then bring in the would-be investors, we're no longer a greenfield, we're a brownfield. We are guys that are actually in the field operating, running a power plant. So it's now a matter of just saying, okay, guys, we want to create multiple 5 megawatts by 20. Hence you've got your 100 megawatts. The idea is scalable. We can take it across the country, and actually it will blossom, and it will alleviate the shortages that we're currently facing in terms of power and in terms of forex as a nation.
All right. Now, guys, we just saw the action giving results. 5 megawatt plant, fully registered with the Zimbabwe Energy Regulatory Authority. These guys are making headway also in Chiredzi for a 10 megawatt solar plant as well. Any comments you can take? Okay,
that is amazing. From a young person to a young person, that is amazing. It's fabulous, it's inspiring. But I also felt there were no young women for the plant. I think we should also engage young women and girls doing this major projects. But I feel it's a great project. It's a great initiative.
Now, Phil, obviously, as Tafadzwa was giving us his background there, he's just 32 years old, and he's the chief financial officer. He's also the co-founder. Looking at our policies towards clean energy, are they inclusive, and how do we factor the youth to be more, active within the renewables?
Okay. Yeah. To begin with, that project is impressive, especially coming from a young person. I would want to applaud the government for drafting and coming up with the recently launched renewable energy policy and the biofuels policy, which are still in their infancy. If I'm not mistaken, they were launched in February. So now to say that we don't have the supporting policy will be an understatement. But now the policy is there. Like she was saying, that having a policy is okay, and it's a very good thing which can fuel this movement and transitioning into a green economy. But now, having a policy is not the means to an end.
It has to be the starting point.
I can say it's a step in a good direction. But we also have to look now into implementation. If you further interrogate Takuzwa, he will tell you in implementation of his projects and trying to scale up, you will face some impediments, which I think the policy, which I think after reading it, it's inclusive. It has got tries to cater for gender issues. It tries to include young people. During the implementation stage, young people should also take a very important part in participating, not only as end users of the technologies, but also as the producers, like what we have seen Takuzwa doing. I liked one point that he stressed, the issue on when he was trying to highlight the point that there are some problems which makes it difficult for them to upscale. Like you're saying that they are doing a project in Chirez. They would also want to do another project maybe in Chivi or in Gutu. But there are other things that needs to be loosened up, especially on other policies. I will give an example of the issue of acquiring land for them to do their projects. You see, this type of project that we are saying, it needs a lot of land. So you'd see if our policies are not in sync with each other, our national policies are not in sync, it will be difficult for them to establish their plans due to failing to acquire enough land, maybe enough land in time for them to do their projects. Yes.
Now, Amanda did highlight the issue of, the girl child. And, within the youth sphere, we do have the girl child, and in significant numbers as well. Apart from the policy, do we have actionables that, point to deliberate effort to also empower the girl child?
Yeah, on this question, I will refer to our program, the Green and Inclusive Energy Program. Deliberately, the program has revived the Gender and Energy Network, which deliberately caters for the girl child. Not necessarily the girl child alone, but also other vulnerable groups, which involve the people living with disability, the elderly, and women. And also, within this network, we try to bring in different stakeholders, different CSOs, journalists, so that they capture issues around renewable energy. With the coming in of the policy, the renewable energy policy, which also stresses the point of recognizing gender issues and trying to balance between the gender imbalances which have been there before, and to maybe break some of the patriarchal ideologies, which was for quite a long time putting the girl child on a disadvantage as compared to their male counterparts.
Now, Amanda, what is the extent of the energy poverty, and is it affecting the youth in a direct or indirect way?
Well, it's affecting the youth both in a direct and indirect way, because let us look at, okay, fine, I can give like UN statistics, UN women statistics on on how young people have died. They say that 60% of the women that died prematurely due to indoors air pollution was 60%. Like 60% of 14 million, which is a very big number. And among those 14 million, about 38% are young people, of which 38% is a quite a big number for a significant number for young people. I feel because of lack of access to clean and renewable, to access to clean and affordable energy, young people are hindered progress because we look at the issues of productive use of energy. People want to do projects, they want to raise chickens, they want to do projects within their rural homes, within their homes. So it's a hindrance for young people, and it's also a slower leverage on how they progress and contribute to the whatever general gross productive economy of our state and nation.
Now, Phil, as Tafaza was giving us his contribution there, I thought of most independent power producers are struggling with finance. It's obviously one common barrier. We will look at the other barriers later on, but the issue of finance, we've seen, a change in policy that revolves around finance over the past year. Has this affected, some of the projects that could have come up in the sphere of renewable energy?
Yeah, of course. You see, the sphere of renewable energy is of high costs. It's a high cost type of the renewable energy projects. They're high cost type of projects. If you can realize. So independent power producers has been affected immensely with the current economic situation, the policy inconsistency, moving away from the US dollar, going to, and all the back and forth, they affects their projects. Because if you look at these independent power producers, most of them, they rely with partnership with outside investors, of which outside investors are sensitive, very sensitive to policies and policy consistency. So you realize, if our policies are changing here and there, it affects them. However, the recently launched renewable energy policy tried to look into that, especially on the issue of financing. It's trying to call for funding from government, from domestic banks, so that at least flows of funding can come in different ways, whether they come as grants, whether they come as loans, and also trying to encourage our domestic banks to provide for loans, yes, which are a little bit shortened, flexible, with shortened payback periods. That will encourage our independent power producers to venture into renewable energy.
The program is Green is Gold, brought to you by Hivos in line with their Green and Inclusive Energy Initiative. Of course, we will be looking at other aspects, barriers to investment within the renewables sector, and also the contribution of the youths when it comes to the curriculum and also development of technology. All that is coming up shortly after this. Don't go away. Hello and welcome back to Green is Gold, a program brought to you by ZTN in partnership with Hivos, People Unlimited. This is in line with a green and inclusive energy initiative. Today we're looking at the youths in renewable energy. Now, Amanda, the issue of potential employment creation for the youths that comes out of the renewable energy, could green jobs be actually a solution to the unemployment problem?
Well, most definitely. Looking with regards to Tafazo's case, we can see that a lot of young people are being employed by other young people, which means that it's a solution. It's already a solution for the country, not only for the country, even for the region. I feel that green energy is an untapped market. If we can venture into the market and actually penetrate, we could have a lot of young people not being unemployed, a lot of young people having something to do, having tangible jobs, and also the economy benefiting, the state at large benefiting from this.
Mm-hmm. Now, Phil, I know your organization looks to want to involve the grassroots in all your programs. How can the youth participate, in actively reducing the carbon footprint?
Yeah, as for Action 24, under the Green and Inclusive Energy Program, mm-hmm. we have got what we call the Green Discussions Platform. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this platform is meant to engage young people in the renewable energy discourse. Mm-hmm. In most cases, we work with youth from the age of 15 to 35, particularly looking at the outside tertiary, the youth who are outside the tertiary education, mm-hmm. yes, and those who are still in university and tertiary institutions. We work with universities, we work with polytechnic mm-hmm.
colleges
in trying to encourage young people to do research, mm-hmm. to venture, to come up with their innovative ideas, which can be upscaled mm-hmm. to be big projects, which can also
reach commercialization,
mm-hmm. so that we can counter the mm-hmm. problem of unemployment mm-hmm. that we are currently having. In that way, we think it's the first step in trying to reach the grassroots, because if you go to at an university and engage students in a public lecture, mm-hmm. you would have touched young people from different communities. Mm-hmm. In university there are students who come from urban areas, there are students who come from rural areas. So if you can actually give them the awareness on renewable energy, they can actually go back and replicate their ideas in the mm-hmm. communities that they come in. So in that way, you would have educated the community. You would have educated the community. And go further to that, we are trying also to work with the Ministry of Education so that the issues of renewable energy are also embedded in the updated new curriculum, mm-hmm. so that at least we catch them young. Mm-hmm. You see, there's a difference of someone who start to hear the word renewable energy at my age and mm-hmm. someone who learned these things when he is still in primary school, going to secondary. Already that person can actually see this is a lucrative industry. Mm-hmm. They can actually work to become renewable energy engineers. Mm-hmm. It's now the packaging of the renewable energy discourse to young people so that they make it, we make it more lucrative. You know, when you are dealing with young people, this is a sensitive group, because when you go to them, the first questions they ask you is, where is the money? Mm-hmm. That's what they want to hear. Where is the money? So you have to package your message so that they see the bigger picture, the opportunities mm-hmm. that come mm-hmm. with the renewable energy.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, as you were talking there, I thought about the business startups and the incubations. The current efforts towards incubation and innovation, is it sufficient, especially for the renewable energy concepts that are coming up?
Yeah, I would say the current incubation and the finances that are channeled toward the youth for them to develop themselves, mm-hmm. if they are there, they are very little and not sufficient. Mm-hmm. We really need to fund more, because you see there are a lot of ideas. If you go in universities, our first discussion, we engaged Harare Institute of Technology. That was our first call in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. We went there for a green discussion. They came up with a lot of innovative ideas, to such an extent that some of them, they were showing us their research projects they do at final level. They were showing us those type of projects. But because there are no funds, there is no one following up on those projects are going to waste. It's just for someone to complete the university and just finishing them. Yeah.
Now, Amanda, is there equal opportunity when it comes into tapping into, you know, the potential of renewable energy, looking at the youths in the urban area and the youths in the marginalized areas?
Well, I feel privilege comes first to youth within urban areas. As you've spoken before, that usually when you go to university setups, which means they're already within an institution. But if you don't go to the grassroots, to where actually the young people are, because you have some young people who are not enrolled at any tertiary institution or enrolled at any educational institution, but they're just home. They have the ideas, they have the knowledge, they have the potential, but because they're just idle at home and they have no access, there's no personal contact between sensitization and the potential young person who has the capacity. So I feel that we need to bridge the gap, because young people in urban areas have I can call it privilege.
Access, maybe.
Access, privilege. Because we look at data, we look at interaction, we look at exposure. Information is all at their disposal. But when someone is within a marginalized space in rural areas, they have a lot going on to think of, okay, fine, how can I access the data? They are the ones who are like the end consumers. The information must be targeted directly to them, not as in they have to go to YouTube, go to WhatsApp, or, there's a gap. I feel there's a gap that needs bridging.
Now, obviously, Amanda raised a very key point: the quality and reach of our innovation and support systems. Is it sufficient? I know you wanted to add on to what she was saying.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to what she was saying with a bit of some statistics, which shows that 87% of Zimbabwe's population lives in the rural areas, and 13% of the people in rural areas have got access to electricity, which is quite disturbing, looking at the young people who live in these marginalized communities. What it means is they don't have the data, they don't have the information, they don't have access to some of the projects, even like what she was saying. If you want to look at the composition of the people who applied for the opportunity that she gets, most of them, if not more than 95%, were from urban areas. But it doesn't necessarily mean we don't have vibrant young people who have got a lot of potential in the rural areas.
So how do we bridge this gap in the short to medium term?
Yeah, so in the short to medium term, to bridge this gap, there is need for robust awareness programs which reach the young people. We try to change the way we interact with these young people. If we can now come up with renewable energy campaigns in rural areas, so that we really go in the deep areas and try to campaign, try to sensitize people. And even if it means we go there with some video clips of Takuzwa there to show the young people that there's a potential in renewable energy, give them the necessary information for them to develop themselves. Even if we can actually come within their community, in their communities, to come up with community hubs which specifically looks at renewable energy, so that even those young people who are out of university, or who don't have that academic qualifications to qualify to be in university are well catered for in the renewable energy space.
Which subsectors of renewable energy, because I know that there's quite a huge offering, can we push forward or can we prioritize and easily, disseminate to the less developed parts of the country?
Yeah, if you come to a layman and talk of renewable energy, you would just think of solar energy.
Everyone else thinks of solar.
Yeah, we're still with a video clip that we have just shown there. If you are talking you're talking to someone, you would just think, but there are a lot. There is the biogas, the Renewable Energy Fund, which is the government agency. I understand at some point they had program which was called the National Biogas Program, which was also aiming at rural areas, which is a very lucrative.
It's very practical.
It's very practical, and it can actually employ a lot of young people because they actually train in that program. They actually train masons who can actually build. And if in a rural setup people are trained, and it's not too expensive for someone to install a biogas digester at their rural setup. And most of the rural setups in Zimbabwe, they have got the feed. Most of them, they have got kettle. Most of them, they have got blade toilets, which can actually feed the biogas. Yes. There are also other subsectors of renewable energy, which are like the wind energy, for example, and microgrids, which can actually improve their lifestyles, which can actually improve their energy access to renewable energy.
Now, Amanda, your advocacy efforts, just picking from what Phil is saying, in trying to demystify the misconception and looking at and focusing rather on just solar, how have your advocacy efforts been in trying to increase the awareness in as far as the range of the different offerings are concerned?
Okay, so we actually have engaged young people not only from the rural areas but also from tertiary institutions, so that they can be an osmosis of information between those that have like the information to those who don't have the information. Also, I've engaged some of the young people that we went with to Arusha, who are doing quite well. Those that are doing cook stores here in Zimbabwe, those that are doing briquettes, so that people can actually see which field they would like to tape in, and actually say, okay, fine, I want that, or we can do that, so that people are not only limited, so that people don't only limit their mobility to solar and hydro, but also invest in other potential spaces.
Now, Phil, if we look at investment in the productive sector of renewable energy, what are the opportunities that are there for us, the youths, to actually advance in the productive sectors? You talked about wind, and I was thinking already about water pumps. What are some of the opportunities that are there in the productive side of renewables?
Okay, so to begin with, the first opportunity comes in from the fact that already our grid electricity is not enough. Our grid electricity is not enough. And there's a huge gap on energy access, which if young people can actually bridge that gap through innovative ideas. Imagine if someone can come with his or a model which supplies a very big industry, which is being affected with power cuts. Already that person can realize a lot of profit because this is on demand. The issue is on the demand side. The demand side is not balanced and is not enough. So you'd realize if young people can tap into that sector and to bridge the inadequacy of energy within the energy sector, there's a huge potential for young people. The other opportunities for young people, they can actually become producers of renewable energy technologies, renewable energy components. You realize most of the components, solar components, we are importing them from other countries. We're importing from South Africa, we're importing from Germany, we're importing from Netherlands.
Are they that sophisticated?
They are not too sophisticated, but the problem comes back to financial backup. The young people, they can actually do that. Because if you look, for example, Chinoi University, yes, they have got a fully fledged department, which is the energy and Biofuels Department, I'm not
the
actual name, but they've got a program. And the young people, the young engineers that are coming from Chinhoyi, they can actually tell you there's nothing important, that there's nothing serious in producing. There's not sophisticated. They can actually produce those things. But what they need is financial backup for them to tap into, to fully utilize those opportunities.
Now, obviously, you mentioned the issue of skills, and I'm thinking, you know, renewable energy is also very much centered around technology, engineering, electronics, civil, and with the level of brain drain and the loss of, you know, human resource that we have as a country, isn't there a critical shortage? How do we bridge this gap?
Yeah, there is a critical shortage, because if you look at it at this point, most of our young people who come from university, just across the river down south, there is a lot of remuneration. And young people, they, like I said, the first thing young people think of is, where is the money? But if this renewable energy sector is well funded, we can actually return most of the people that have gone outside to come back and invest in Zimbabwe, and to come back with their skills, back to invest their skills in Zimbabwe. With the current situation, most of the young people, we are losing a lot of young people, we are losing a lot of potential. They are going outside, they are going for greener pastures in the region and globally. A lot of technical skills in the renewable energy sector is scattered globally from Zimbabwe.
We're heading, unfortunately, towards the end of our program, and I'll probably ask you guys to just give me your closing submissions before we wrap it up. Amanda, I'll just give you a chance.
Okay, thank you. I was dying to talk. Okay, thank you, Blessing. I thank you for the platform to come and talk to you, but also I want to encourage each and every young person out there to not to wait to be called to or to be summoned for opportunities. It's high time as young people we summon ourselves and break in within the system so that we can contribute. This is our country, or no one an explanation in investing in this country. So I would like to accommodate each and every. If you feel you're a green ranger and you feel you can contribute to harness to green energy in this country, it's the platform, it's the time. Just reach out to organizations such as HEVOS, reach out within your community, because it begins with you. Charity begins at home, it begins in our communities, in our diverse places. So I want to urge each and every young person to speak out, to stand up and say, okay, fine, I'm going to be a green energy. I won't stay at home and say I'm not employed. Let me employ myself and start doing something.
Thank you so much. Phil?
Yeah, thank you. I want the title of the program, Green is Gold. Yeah, for sure, green is gold. Let's, as young people, let's invest in this in this green growth and green initiatives. They give us a lot of opportunities. I also appeal to all stakeholders, the media, the government, CSOs, NGOs, to come and fund, invest in young people. They have got a lot of ideas. They are very innovative, they are creative. They can actually come up with innovative ideas which can solve even the bigger problems that we are having of electricity. And we can actually achieve our targets as a nation to reduce global emissions under the nationally determined contributions on climate change. I would also like to thank ZTN for this opportunity for us to come here and talk on behalf of the young people.
Thank you so much. Now, as we come to the end of our program, Green as Gold, brought to you by HEVOS and ZTN, I would like to thank my guest for today, Amanda Makombe, a green energy youth advocate. She was telling us about the Green Rangers, and most certainly giving that invitation and a call for action to come on board. And also Phil Mudawanu, Programs Officer at Action 24, an organization that believes in grassroots and making people effective. And many thanks also to our partner HEVOS, who made this program possible through their Green and Inclusive Energy Initiative, which seeks to help alleviate the energy poverty situation that is in Africa, and of course in line with their belief in the unlimited potential of people. That's you and me. Today's program was the second in the ongoing series that focuses on the importance of Zimbabwe transitioning to the use of renewable energy towards social and also economic development, as well as opportunities arising for entrepreneurs and the marginalized during this critical transition to renewable energy. Now, reduce waste. If you can't, then reuse, or better still, recycle. Go green, stay safe. I'm Blessing Munatsi. See you next week.